it in. Do you want to unlock it? That'd be awesome. Sorry, I had it open. Are we ready now? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we've talked about MTSS before, and I think what we did was we just probably name dropped. We threw it out there and said, here's something we're working on as a district. We've got a cohort of people that are looking at MTSS. MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. But then we also have something else, another system of support, HRS, High Reliability Schools. It's another system of support. Now, you can say we have MTSS, you can say we have HRS, you can say we have RTI, IEP, whatever else you want to throw out there. But the really cool thing is, here's what we should be calling it, HELP, because that's really what it is. It's all about helping every child and focusing on what each child needs to be successful, focusing on what system is going to help promote that child's growth. So that's really what we're looking at, is we are looking at our systems of supports, this group. If you are part of that MTSS team, do you want to stand up? There's a lot. Okay, wonderful, thank you guys. So, as this group has looked, we're figuring out what systems of support are working, which ones are not, how do we tweak, how do we maybe take some off the plate, how do we add this one, but you know what, it's amazing when we add this one, we get to remove these other three. So that's the part we want to figure out, is what is working. So we have met, last year we met 4 times, and we met just on Wednesday. They came in before they even had to arrive. It was pretty awesome, but it was fun. But we worked hard, and we're just kind of dabbling yet. We're kind of still learning. We're kind of still exploring our data, still exploring our systems. We are not there yet. So this year, we're going to spend time again continuing our journey. But we want to continue to communicate with everyone so that we're all on the same page, so that we can see how we are growing and how this is moving forward. So what it is, we're just going to give you a small little glimpse of what it is today. We'll continue to talk to you more as we go throughout this year. We are not implementing anything right now. We are not changing our language right now. We probably will not use MTSS. We will still use School Improvement Plan. But then eventually, it's all going to funnel within this MTSS system to where everything is there. And that is our system, but it shows what systems we have in place, what they're used for. Here are resources. Here's our, so that's the thing, is we're building one website, not many. We're building a website that has core resources for you, intervention resources for you, that has the go-to shop. So if you are looking for something to really help this child in this area, you go here, and here it is. We're going to pick out the best. We're going to figure out what are those best research-based practices that really make an impact on kids. So that is our goal, is just to kind of get everything we're doing and figure out where it goes and how it goes, and is it working, is it not working. So that is, it's kind of a big task, but it's kind of been fun. I may be the only one who thinks it's been fun, but it's a slow process. I'm just going to tell you that. It's a slow process, but we're trying to do the right work and trying to put the right things in place rather than just having everyone just pick and choose. So let's figure out what exactly it is we want to use, and then let's go hog wild and let's use them. And let's really work on making a difference. And like, we are making a difference, so we're going to continue making a difference, but let's just focus. I mean, that's where sometimes I think we get into, ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, that's shining. I mean, we do. And so that's the part that we're trying to stop, is this is where we are and this is the system. We don't bring anything in unless it gets approved by the committee. So which is kind of cool, because then we stop looking at that next hot thing. Okay. So as we look at this, the question we need to stop asking, and the question that we've looked at, is if a student is responding, or we need to stop asking if a student is responding and start asking if our current system and what we as adults are doing is working for all our students. So again, are all of our systems working for all our students? Because if it's not, then how are we changing? Because we are the teachers, we are the adults, we are the professionals, we need to change something for this child because it's not working. So those are the things that we are looking at. Here's another, the solution. When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. So if a flower isn't blooming as well, maybe I put it in the sunlight. Maybe it has too much sun, so I take it out of the sun. Maybe it needs watered a little bit more than what I'm watering, or maybe it needs watered less. You think about that flower, you're going to adjust where it is. Maybe it needs a bigger pot because it doesn't have a big enough pot for its roots to go. So you're thinking about all those things as you're working with that flower. The same thing that we're doing with kids, with each child. We need to maybe adjust this. Maybe they don't respond well to whole group. Maybe they need a lot more small group because they respond better to that. Maybe our schedule isn't working. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more flexible. And I know I looked at principals and told them that we need a flexible schedule, and they said, yeah, you're funny. So maybe had other thoughts going on in their head that that was not going to work. But those are the things we're looking at. So we have this multi-tiered system of support, this MTSS. That is what we are looking at. Notice, it is an umbrella. It is an umbrella for everything that we do.
Reading Improvement Act. School improvement.
High reliability schools.
Skip.
Continuum of behavioral supports.
High ability learners.
Universal screening.
SAT problem solving.
Core curriculum.
PBIS.
Yay! Don't you all just want to sing, let's go fly a kite? You know, you do. But MTSS is the umbrella that houses all of these other pieces, but figures out what we need at the right time with each child. So that is where we are looking, that is what we're looking at, is building that system to figure out what is working, what's not working, but what works best at this point in time with this individual student. Okay, so we created a definition, and this is kind of our definition for the framework for MTSS. So MTSS and HRS, and I'm not going to say the full words just because it's too much, but MTSS and HRS frameworks are integrated for improving learning outcomes for every student through a layered continuum of evidence-based practices and systems. So that evidence-based is key. We want to make sure that if we're using something that there is research to support that this is what we need to be using. It promotes an integrated system of high-quality core classroom model instruction for all. So everyone receives that core curriculum because we know that core curriculum is the foundation. And each child has to receive that core curriculum at that grade level. They cannot be doing first grade work when they are a third grader and you expecting them to move. Now, they may still need some first grade work just to support and to help them come back up, but they need to see that third grade level work. They need to see the rigor of it because otherwise we will never close that gap. Provide school with meaningful data to positively impact students and their families. Our goal is to look at what data are we looking at, which ones should we be looking at, which ones should we not be. Just so that we really focus on this is our data that we're really evaluating, and this is what we're using as our benchmark, as our measure, not that we're looking at this piece now, and that piece over here. So we really are focusing on what data pieces. Ensures every student achieves the appropriate level of growth to be successful in areas of academic, behavior, and social emotional. This covers the gamut. We aren't just talking about our academics of reading and math. We're talking about behavior. We're talking about the social emotional too. We're talking about the whole child. So it's not just about one little piece. And it's not a standalone initiative. It houses the tools educators need for continuous improvement, problem solving, and decision making. It's about making sure you have the toolbox that you need. Making sure that we all have the same toolbox that we're working out of. Not, I've got my toolbox over here, you've got your toolbox over here, we got another one with their toolbox over here, and we're all just taking our own tools and building our own little house, and they may all look a little different. But we all have the same tools. And because these are the best tools that we have decided as a group, that these are the best tools for the kids. There are 6 areas in the MTSS, in the multi-tier system of support that we are looking at. We're looking at shared leadership. So how do we collaborate? How are we working together? How is the team helping to make sure the communication is there, helping to make sure that parents understand what we're doing, kids understand what we're doing, teachers, paras, everyone is part of this system. Communication, collaboration, and partnerships. How are we communicating? How are we collaborating? How are we partnering with others? Because we know that sometimes we can't do it alone, especially when we're looking at the behavioral, that social, emotional. We know we need other supports too. So how are we making sure that those have been set up? Evidence-based instruction, intervention, and assessment practices. So as we look at that, we're looking at instruction, intervention, and assessment. We're looking at that guaranteed and viable curriculum. What are we offering? How are we assessing? How do we know? And what's cool about it is the PLC 4 questions are right there too. So what are we teaching the students? How do we know if they're learning it? And then what are we doing if they aren't? What are we doing if they are? Building capacity infrastructure for implementation, so making sure that we all are on the same page, making sure that we've provided you with resources, we've provided you with training, we've provided you with communication, we've provided everyone. But we're trying to get just our core group understanding what's going on. And that process has been a little bit slower, and that's okay. But it's really been cool because our growth is slowly coming. And that, on the first day when we went, or when we brought them in, I know we had a lot of questions because we were going to present last year, August. But we all looked at each other and said, we really don't know what we're talking about yet. Yeah, so we were all confused. So we said, you know what, let's give it a year and let's build our knowledge first before we bring anything out here. And then that layered continuum of supports. That is huge. Kids need support after support after support. And the really, really cool thing about when we get this MTSS process is we're all working together. You may see special ed teachers in the classroom doing a small group. You might see a title teacher pulling out some other kids besides just title students. I mean, and that's the thing is, that's why we want to really look at that flexible schedule, because we're here to help each other and we're here to use each other to best help each child. Because you know what, there might be something that Betty Bostanik does that I do not do in my classroom that would really impact this person, even though they are not special ed, they are not title, but you know what? I need them to work with her for just a little bit so that they get it, because I'm not impacting them at this point in time. So that's the awesome piece about this is it's a team. It's not just, well, the special ed kids go there, the title kids go there. No, it's how are we all helping each other, because you know what, we have SLPs here and they can help just as much as I can. So we have our OT, PT, we have so many resources in our district. We've got to use each other. And that really is what this is about, is how are we best using each other and how are we using the best resources to make things happen. One of the things that we had at the high school and middle school will come on a little bit later. We're probably going to continue working with elementary. And elementary, this will be a 5-year, 6-year, 7-year process before we feel like, okay, we really have a good hold of everything we're doing, because it will take time to build it. But the high school, we had a high school teacher contact us and say, I have an EL student, an English learner child, and she really needs to be in this special ed study hall because she's made a connection to the special ed teacher. Well, we can't do that, because right now we're following Rule 51 guidance, and nope, she is not, this EL student is not special ed, these students are special ed, this teacher is special ed, paid with these funds. EL, nope, so you cannot do that. However, with the MTSS process, they're all of our kids, which this is how it should have been and this is how it should be. So you know what, that special ed teacher can work with that EL child. That special ed teacher can work with that HAL child. So we can work with everyone, and we are a team. Yes. Questions? No. Guys. Amens, I know. That's so exciting. Okay, there is a resource. If you want to learn more, if you type in NE or Nebraska MTSS, you will get to this website, and UNL has put this website together. Now, I'm going to briefly show it to you, because if you want to start delving in and you have all the time, extra time, yeah, I know, you can. Otherwise, you can let us delve in for you, and then we will go from there. But Nebraska MTSS has a huge place for resources. They also have a tab that is called Resources that really starts talking about different pieces and giving you different components that you might want to look at. So that is there because there's educator resources, family resources, there's a bunch of things there that if you want to take a look at it, go right ahead. If you don't feel bad. It's okay. Okay. Okay, so as we look at 1920, here are our priorities. First one is communicate, communicate, communicate. Make sure that we keep everyone updated as to what's going on, what's happening, what's going to happen at our next meeting. Here's what we've done, here's the work we're doing, here's the different things. Develop and deeply implement one plan. So we don't want a SIP plan, we don't want an MTSS plan, we don't want this plan, we don't want that plan, we want it to be one thing. So, and the other thing that we're looking at is, okay, we have an HRS group, we have a SIP group, we now have an MTSS group, so we're going to have one group. It's MTSS. That's going to be our one group. We're going to focus on all those other things, but this one group is going to do it. Develop and build web-based communication and storage. So our goal is to have that website finished with all those resources, all the support pieces that each of you need, and that will be at your fingertips. And to promote use of best practices and research-based strategies. That is our ultimate goal, and that will go multiple years. Any questions about our goals? Any questions about this process? Any questions about, you may be sitting there thinking, I still don't have a clue as to what you're talking about, and that is okay. That is okay. If you go out of here with, we're just kind of creating a support system to help all kids, that's all you need to do. That's all you need to know. That took me probably less than it took me to talk about this whole thing. Okay, so the other one piece that we have developed is a model. And we're going to show you our model, and you can give us feedback on our model, but the biggest thing is it's all about continuous improvement. It's all about problem solving. It's all about solution-based, that we are looking for each child and where they're going to be and how we're going to push them to that next level. So we have a one school, one family solution-based model. This is a problem-solving model. We're looking at solution-based because we want that focus on solution. We want that focus on, we're trying to find solutions for each child. Now, I would assume if you have maybe, if you know of someone else, maybe a relative, family member, if they work in a different company, I have a feeling that they probably use a problem-solving model within that company. We know that problem solving is huge. We do it all the time. We're constantly problem solving. We constantly are given a challenge, and what do you know? We have to figure out how to address it. So our model talks about identifying a problem. So what is the problem? Focus on what we can control. I don't want to focus on what someone else can control. I don't want to focus on what's happening outside or what's going on at home. I want to focus on what I can control, because that's the only thing I can solve. I cannot solve what's happening in that child's life at home, but I can solve what's happening in that child's life at school. And you're supposed to state that in one sentence. We aren't going to get wordy about this, because we know there are some children we can go on for hours about, but one sentence. Now, it's not a run-on either. It's a true sentence. Analyze. What data do I need or have to analyze? What pieces do I need to analyze? What are the specific data points that are going to help me solve this problem? What does the data show, and are there other contributing factors? And make sure you have at least 3 data pieces, because we know triangulation of data is key. So we've got to have those 3 data pieces. If you have more, great. But we need data to help us figure out, okay, where is the problem? Where exactly is the problem? But is that the true root of the problem? What's the root? Where do I have to move forward? What do I have to address? Develop. This is what is the goal. What are we going to do? How, who, when, what, where, all of those questions we're going to start answering. So this is where we start developing that plan. Then we're going to implement. We're going to act upon our plan. We're going to monitor the implementation. Is it working? And then we're going to reflect and celebrate and evaluate the plan, determine the next steps. Now, we may be on implement and realize that this isn't working, so guess what? We have to go back to develop. And then we go back to implement. Because for some students, the strategy that I'm using isn't working, so I have to think of something else. Okay, so that is our one school, one family solution-based model. So let's put it into practice. Does anyone have an idea of, does anyone have a problem that we need to solve?
Getting to school at 7:45.
Getting to school at 7:45. Now you know, however, what's funny is I've got data to show that Fran has been early the last 2 days. So I think we could create a little plan and probably work with Fran individually on getting the, you know, I think that may get up. There we go.
But then you're really
Now that is a fun little plan. Do we want to solve it? Or Betty, I think, has another. Betty, what was your?
I think it's too crowded in
You think it's too crowded in here. Okay, so we're kind of maybe feeling a little cramped because you know what, this is a small place to put a lot of people. Okay, so crowded in here. We got Fran, 7:45. Kevin, did you have anything else?
Let's go with Betty's.
Okay. Do we think we want to go with Betty's or do we want to take care of Fran? Okay, I like Betty's too. So, Fran, not that we don't like you. We're going to go with Betty's. I know. And maybe said that yours was insurmountable. So, we're going to go over here. Okay. Yes, you can work on that one, guys. We'll put Betty in charge of that one. So, we have identified the problem. And what was the sentence again? It is too crowded.
It is too crowded in this room.
Okay, perfect sentence. It is nothing long. It's not a run on. There is one sentence. And I think we can control that. Okay? Now, analyze. What data do I need or do I have to show? What data do I have? The size of the room. So we might be looking at the area of the room. I might figure out what the area of the room is and its occupancy and people in it.
There is a lack of leg room between the rows.
Okay, so I might then measure the room between the rows, and I might measure your legs. You know, we might go into that detail. What was that? Lack of cheek room. Yes, I might look at that too. Now, does anyone also think that there might be like we might go perceptual. We might go, you know what kind of smells? We may be too close that, you know, our deodorant has stopped working because it's kind of too hot in here, okay? Yes. So those are some data pieces that we're getting, okay? And I would assume we can probably maybe get a few more data, but I think we have quite a bit of data that we can gather as a group to start looking. So now we have to develop. What is our goal?
Get out of here.
To lessen the crowding in the room. Notice how I rephrase that. To lessen the crowding in the room is what we want to do. Okay? So we want to lessen the crowding in the room. That would be a goal. It's the collective we, it's the K-5 educators, our staff, K-5 staff. When, like, maybe now. How? Well, I'm sure we could talk about how. We know that. Okay. So,
Let the fourth row leave.
what? Oh, right. We could let the fourth row leave. You know what? If we let the fourth row leave, would that reduce the crowding?
Yeah.
Would that reduce the crowding for all?
Well, they can spread out. They can spread out then.
They could maybe spread out a little bit more, so you have a little bit more cheek room. Okay, so that would be a solution. What else would be a solution? People could move to the front row. We've got some open spots. We've even got carpet up here that you can maybe just come sit crisscross applesauce. What?
Have to sit a different venue.
We could have this at a different venue too. Yes.
We can let everybody dismiss and go back to their classrooms and work.
We could, because would you be as crowded in your classroom?
No.
Would we have solved our problem?
Yes.
Yes. So, don't implement yet. We have our solution. So we would implement, and then guess what? As you walk out of here, you might reflect and you might even celebrate. Yay! This took less than 1 hour. And now guess where I'm going? I'm gonna go work in my classroom and go get ready so that this weekend I'll be on. So, we will continue to bring more about MTSS. We will continue to bring more about, I will tell you, one of the things we want to do is get the solution-based model out into the buildings. We want to get it into the bathrooms. We want kids to see it too, because we know kids have problems and they need to work through them. So we want it everywhere, we want it present. We will start working on filtering it and just kind of trying to push it out into the buildings and push it out into your rooms. So we are working as a team. If you have any questions at any point in time about what we're doing, why we're doing it, please stop by, talk to us, talk to one of the members. Just let us know. We will be there. Okay. Thank you so much. We've got textbooks back there if you want to grab them, or those reading books if you want to grab them. But you guys rock.
I
Thank you
can't
for
wait
being
for the state to
attentive.
hear the Chiefs comment.
I know.